We're in northern Minnesota, making our way into the Superior National Forest in hopes of discovering a backcountry shelter. We're hiking above the Sturgeon River, which is a relatively small but wild river here in the northeastern part of the state. It's one of the quiet Northwoods rivers that meanders through spruce bogs, wetlands, and, of course, pine forest.
Well, we are out in the beautiful Superior National Forest and supposedly headed for a survival shelter right on the Sturgeon River. It shows up on maps. There's even GPS coordinates to it, but I haven't seen any actual proof that it's there, online at least. So we're gonna see if we can find it, and if we can, the goal is gonna be to turn it into a cozy cabin for the night. Now, I've definitely had it in the past where I've hiked into a so-called shelter only to find it utterly destroyed, overrun with critters, or just not suitable for camping in. And so I'm kind of holding my breath here, really hoping we find something special. That would be awesome.
The hike into the supposed location of the shelter is about 2 miles. It's mostly flat terrain traversing the ridgeline above the river, with a slight little descent towards the end of the trail.
All right, so according to the map, we're just around the corner from the shelter. This is the moment of truth. Well, we definitely hit the jackpot with this shelter. We've got a roof overhead. There's plenty of room to hang out and sleep. We'll easily be able to close down this space and heat it with the wood stove. And we even have a stash of firewood here already. I definitely plan to get out and replenish some of that, but it's really nice to know that we got some here to keep us warm tonight. Now, the first thing that I'm going to want to do here is clean up inside before I set up. So what I'm going to do is go look for a pine bough that I can make into a little broom to just sort of tidy up, and then we'll transform this space into a cabin. This guy should work pretty well. Let's take it back and do some sweeping.
I used some cord that I brought along to wrap up the pine needles a bit and make a little broom. And now is finally time to start to enclose this space and turn it into a cabin. The first step is to get the wood stove in there so I can line it up properly with my tarp, which already has a stove jack installed in it. So it's going to be important that I line those two things up properly. To hang the tarp, I'm going to add a couple of nails into the top beam here. They're very small nails and won't cause any harm to the structure.
This is a hilarious configuration for the stovepipe here. The reason I've got this long piece connected is because I worried that if I just came out of the tarp with that elbow, that the smoke might billow in this little overhang and end up back in the cabin. So I'm gonna try seeing if this draws, and if it does, great. If not, I'll remove the long section and we'll just take our chances with the elbow. Well, I think it's about time we give this thing a test burn. I'm curious again as to whether or not it'll draw, but also whether it will heat up this space. I think it will, but there's only one way to find out. Well, I'm happy to say that this thing is drawing extremely well, and it's also putting off a ton of heat despite the fact that it's still just starting to take off. Once we get some real hot coals in there and get this thing raging tonight, it's going to easily heat up this whole space and make it toasty warm.
Now, there are a few things that I want to do before fully settling in, but before I do any of that, I think I earned a little cup of hot cider. After a nice break inside the cabin, I figured that before we get going on Firewood, we gotta go down and check out the river.
This river is absolutely beautiful, and the valley here has just an extraordinarily peaceful quality to it. And I think it's because we're so sunken in down here. Every noise and distraction feels like it's 1,000 miles away. And I think adding to that experience is the lack of flowing water. The ice is still locked up on top of the river here, but pretty soon, it's going to be gone, and this thing is going to be flowing once again. All right, guys, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the sponsor of this week's video. Filling up with gas, getting groceries, or even eating out, there's no escaping those things, even when you're on the tightest budget. But here's something you can control: getting cash back every single time you fill up, get groceries, or go out to eat with the Upside app. It's pretty awesome. The free Upside app allows you to get cash back on gas, groceries, or eating out, the three things that seem to be draining my wallet constantly. With over 100,000 locations participating, it seems like there are cashback opportunities everywhere. And yes, it is real cash. We're not talking points, credit, or anything like that. It's money that you will be able to transfer into your bank account. So here's how it works. You open the app, you claim an offer, and then you pay with your card like normal. And then after that, you get paid. It's as simple as that. You guys know that I travel all the time, and it's been kind of fun to see where I can get cashback opportunities when I'm out on the road. So if I need some gas, I look for an offer, or certainly when I'm doing grocery shopping or trying to get a quick bite to eat when I'm out here on the road. All in all, I think it's a really cool way to put some extra cash in your pocket, and so I definitely think it's worth checking out. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use promo code TCL to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon of your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code TCL. And with that, let's get back to the adventure.
Now, before the sun sets, I want to try to cut up some of our own firewood, so that way we're not just taking from the stash that's here, but replenishing some of it as well.
This tree looks pretty good. It's up off the ground, so it should be fairly dry. It's wide enough where we should get some decent sized rounds out of it. And I can see now that the rounds that we've got in the cabin over there were definitely cut up with a chainsaw, either by rangers or volunteers that help clean up the trail.
days don't get a whole lot better than this one. It was a pleasant hike in. We got the cabin converted rather easily. And now we're getting to sit around a very nice campfire. The icing on the cake, we'll be having a nice warm space to relax in afterwards. Well guys, now that we got the fire going in here, it is time to make dinner. I'm making a Southwest style chicken and rice bowl over the wood stove. It's gonna have bell pepper, onion, black beans, rice, chicken, and cheese with a little bit of hot sauce. It's gonna be amazing. Gonna top it off with this truffle hot sauce. It's really, really good. Dear God, thank you for just an awesome day. Bless this food and help us to stay safe tonight. Amen. Well, this looks incredible. Let's see how it tastes. Oh yeah, that is delicious. Love the chicken, love the texture of the rice, and that truffle hot sauce is incredible. Well, this is pretty perfect. It's toasty warm in here. And feels really good to relax. I love watching the fire too. Oh, but I think I'm going to let the fire burn out here soon, and I'm going to set up my bed. It was a great day. Guys, it is about time to hit the hay. I am set up in my 0-degree sleeping bag, so I'll be toasty warm. Ellie is all wrapped up as well, so she should be good too. And in case you're wondering what I'm sleeping in, this is a little pop-up screen shelter. I've seen so many mice in these shelters, and this thing just gives me some peace of mind to help me get some good sleep, so I like it. With that, it's about time to get some shut-eye. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Good night. Well, good morning, everybody. Ellie and I had a fantastic night of sleep. So much that we actually slept in a little bit. I'm usually up before the sun is, and that didn't happen today, which felt really good, and I think I needed the sleep, so I'm glad it happened. The fire feels amazing. It takes a while for it to fully heat up the entire space, which I'm not going to do this morning, but just having a little bit of heat here, it makes all the difference. Unfortunately, though, I think all I have time to do is drink this cup of coffee, and then I'm going to have to tear everything down and pack out. Well, the time had finally come to start tearing down, and the first thing I wanted to deal with was the wood stove. I'm dumping all of the extra hot coals in the fire ring, and will definitely be making sure that they are all out before I go. All right, guys, I have everything packed up here. I made sure that the embers from the wood stove are dead and out. And then I also cleaned out and tidied up the shelter. And we actually left a little bit of split firewood for the next guests. So I think it's about time to hit the trail and make our way back to the truck. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for coming along. I feel really good having finally accomplished my goal of turning one of those shelters into a full functioning cabin. Just having that warm space to relax and just sort of recharge after being out in the cold all day, it made all the difference. It was also pretty sweet to find a new shelter that's in such great condition. It's absolutely gorgeous back there, and I would love to come back in the future. Now, just to give you all a quick heads up, Ellie has surgery tomorrow to remove a growth that I found. Since recording this, I've already found out that it is not cancerous. The surgery went well. She just has a while that she needs to recover and just sort of take it easy. So I think she's going to miss the next few episodes, but just hang in there. She will be back as soon as possible. As always, I want to give a special shout out to our patrons for generously donating to this channel. But again, you're all the reason that I get to do this on a weekly basis, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But you all know the drill. It's time for me to get this all packed up so I can get home and see the girls. We'll see you next week. God bless.